Hello and welcome to X Witness a Week. I am your host, Jonathan. I hope that you're doing well today. It is that time again, like the cycles of the moon, when all the crazies come out. You have the monthly broadcasts of jw.org. The January 2003 broadcast, not 2023, I forget what year it is. I also forget what I'm actually watching, apparently. This is the governing body update number 1 for 2023. Keep going. A broadcast of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, unlike ones that I've done in the past, I am not going to include every little bit, even some of the sped up parts, because I find that it's rather long and I don't have as many people watching them, and I don't want to put all this effort into bringing this to people just to not have it be watched.
Sir? Huh? We're in a terrible rush.
So I'm going to do what most others are doing when they cover these sort of things, is I'm going to sort of take the choice bits out and throw the fat away. Although fat tastes good sometimes.
This is right. This is so perky. I love that.
But anyway, not this stuff though. It's gristle, all gristle. So, like I say, I'm going to trim it down so that this won't be so ridiculously long. But first, I must introduce the channel, so let's do it.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. In our program, we have a thrilling update about the Ramapo Project and reports about our brothers and sisters in Norway, Russia, and Ukraine. We'll also hear about the tremendous increase in Bible studies earthwide. And finally, we have a very exciting announcement. Stay tuned. Starting this month, January 2023, we'll resume in-person circuit assemblies and theocratic schools. We're thrilled to have these opportunities to gather together again. And we're also looking forward to our in-person conventions later this year. I'm sure, like me, you're looking forward to singing that opening song at the convention with thousands of our brothers and sisters. How's the new headquarters project at Ramapo, New York progressing? We're thrilled to inform you that on December 28, 2022, the Town Board of Ramapo approved the zoning for the facility and gave approval for tree removal. This key approval will allow the overall project to move forward. We hope to begin clearing the site as early as January 2023, this month. As the project at Ramapo gains momentum, it reminds us of how we felt about the Warwick Project and the thousands of volunteers who supported it. Soon after we moved in from Brooklyn, Brother Lett read an open letter from the governing body at morning worship. With the Ramapo Project now moving forward, let's hear that beautiful letter from 2016.
And now a word from governing body member Stephen Lett.
On behalf of the Warwick Bethel family, the governing body would like to express deep appreciation for our lovely new home here at Warwick Bethel. How we love our new residences and offices. The fresh air, quiet environment, and beautiful scenery are already having a beneficial effect on how we feel.
You just look at the flowers, Lizzie. Just look at the flowers.
The governing body thought it would be appropriate sacrificing more than 27,000 different brothers and sisters who volunteered to work on the construction of this project. Many of you, dear friends, took vacation time, paid your own transportation costs, lived in small rooms, and got up very early in the morning to ride buses or shuttles to the work site. In the Bible, sometimes a thought is repeated 3 times for emphasis. In this vein, we say, if we failed, unquestionably, we do not deserve such a wonderful place to live and work. The governing body could have done better for what you have done. Governing body, may Jehovah reward you for what you have done.
As was the case for the Warwick Project, thousands of volunteers from the United States will be needed for Ramapo.
So once again, they're going to have to count on the freebie labor of the brothers and sisters who think they're doing the right thing by giving their time and energy, putting themselves in danger because they might get injured. People have got injured building kingdom halls and building assembly halls and different facilities. Is it worth it to get injured? I don't think so. And this is one way that these cults make money, is by saving money. They save money on the expense that they would have to do to pay contractors to build their stuff. They've got people doing it. They get a discount on materials, I'm pretty sure, because they may arrange to get materials from, that are donated from Jehovah's Witnesses who are in the contracting business. So they get all this stuff for free or for cheap, and they profit. And what do the people have to show for it? Well, they build kingdom halls, and then they end up getting sold later, and they lose out. So.
And for your generous donations in behalf of the Ramapo Project. What's happening in Norway?
Okay, I'm going to keep this part at regular speed because I want you to notice what they're trying to slip past you.
We're happy to update you on this case. On December 22nd, 2022, the authorities announced their decision to deregister Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community in Norway. Then, on December 28, we filed an injunction application with the Oslo District Court, asking them to suspend the deregistration until the matter had been resolved by the court. On December 30th, the court granted a temporary injunction. We're very grateful to the Oslo District Court for granting this injunction. Please continue to pray for a successful outcome.
Well, as Miracle Max would say, this part is mostly true, but not entirely true. Half-truths, So they did file an injunction to stop this from happening, but what it did was temporarily allow them to be able to continue marrying people in kingdom halls, performing marriage ceremonies while they consider this in the courts. What they're failing to mention here that's very important, that's not a victory, is they have still lost their registration. They are not currently registered as a religion in Norway, but they don't want the rank and file to know that, so they're leaving that important detail out, that they're not registered anymore. So they're not going to be able to get that money that they were wanting before. And once this actually goes to the courts and they go, did you change anything? No? Well, you're still not registered. They're not going to get the result they want. So they are being shady by leaving out this very important detail.
I want to keep in mind the over 175 brothers and sisters around the world who are still in prison for their faith. This includes Brother Andrei Vlasov, who was sentenced to 7 years in a penal colony in Russia. The following video gives us an update on his case.
Andrei Vlasov is a seriously ill, disabled man from Siberia, whom a Russian court sentenced to 7 years in a prison colony. This peaceable religious man was convicted merely for believing in God and reading the Bible.
There wasn't a single piece of legitimate evidence presented. For example, regarding the charge of subverting the constitutional structure of the country. How did he do that? There wasn't a single example of anything my husband had done. Supposedly, he broke up family bonds. What families did he break up? What are their names and places of residence? Nothing was substantiated. In the bill of charges, only Article 2A2 regarding extremism was referred to. After Andrei had given his concluding speech on May 23, 2022, the court took a break for just 5 minutes, and then the judge announced the verdict, a 7-year prison sentence. Before we left for the hearing, my husband asked me not to cry, whatever happened. I tried to fulfill his request.
Okay, I feel for this guy that got put into prison. It's wrong to put people into prison for their religious beliefs. But to say that he was imprisoned simply for believing in God and reading his Bible is just baloney. It doesn't make any sense. Believe it or not, religion isn't outlawed in Russia. There are plenty of religious people, plenty of Christians and Muslims and all that sort of thing. They can do that. The reason this guy was arrested is because the Jehovah's Witnesses are under ban and they're viewed as an extremist group. So he can certainly read his Bible. He can certainly believe in God. Now, should this poor guy with health conditions be thrown into jail, thrown into prison for, presumably peacefully just doing his own thing? No, of course not. That's against human rights. But to put it that way, the way that they did, was a little misleading. So I hope that people who are under those circumstances, that they change and that they're able to get out of prison and that no one is persecuted. But if you're going to be doing things that would be considered an extremist group, why? Why is it considered an extremist group? Well, let's think about the things going on in Norway, the way that people are treated. So it's just something to consider.
Another brother, Alexander Putintsev, was being transported in a prison train to a penal colony. He had already traveled on the train for 10 days when it stopped in Kemerovo region to add more prisoners. Our brother Andrei was loaded onto the prison train and placed in a cell with other prisoners. The other prisoners started to ask who he was and what he was convicted of. He answered, "I am Andrei Vlasov, and I am in prison for my faith in God." At hearing this, a man almost fell off the bench and said to Andrei, "You and I must be fellow believers." Can you imagine? Although they were from such different regions and different prisons, they were placed on the same train and even in the same cell on the train. As it turns out, the wives of these brothers had prayed that their husbands would be able to meet. It seemed impossible, but Jehovah made it happen. The brothers spent over 12 hours together. They enjoyed a much-needed interchange of encouragement. Truly, the hearer of prayer knows how to care for our brothers.
Okay, this kind of stuff bugs me. So these two guys end up going to prison. They're transported on a train, and they bump into each other, and they're both Jehovah's Witnesses from different areas of the country. Apparently their wives prayed that they would meet, and they did. What a miracle. And Jehovah has made sure that this happens. If you're going to pray for something, pray for, I don't know, maybe they don't go to prison in the first place. Guess what? They went to prison. So they spent a long afternoon on a train. Big deal. They still went to prison. So that kind of stuff just bugs me.
Around the world, our brothers and sisters are also busy with disaster relief. For example, some months ago, it was anticipated that many brothers and sisters in Ukraine would need warm clothing for the winter.
Many months ago, it was anticipated that we would need more propaganda videos. So notice the effort we went to document this particular humanitarian effort.
So, over 200 congregations in Germany were invited to donate clothing and other basic items. What was the result? Approximately 36,000 pieces of clothing and 6,500 pairs of shoes were generously donated. With assistance from the Poland branch, 105 pallets with 23.7 metric tons of donated clothing were shipped by truck to Ukraine. One grateful brother said,
So do you think these brothers and sisters just had a couple of, drones with video cameras attached to them just kicking around, and they decided to take aerial shots of vans driving away to their destinations? Come on. This seems a little staged. Seems to me they just wanted something flashy and important and cool to present to the brothers and sisters, and probably the public too at some point.
For your generous contributions.
Since June 2022, when we returned to in-person forms of the ministry, we've been hearing exciting reports from the field. We've seen a tremendous increase in the number of Bible studies. In fact, worldwide, we've seen an increase of nearly 30% since May. That means that now more than 1.5 million new Bible studies are being conducted. Isn't that wonderful?
Okay, so I'm no expert, but everything was closed down. Nobody's going out in service. And then everybody was in the spring of 2022. So wouldn't it make sense that there be more studies? How is this really spectacular? People weren't going out in service than they were, so there was more opportunity to get studies. Maybe they resumed the ones that they had before. Surprise, you're going to have higher numbers that way. That's like saying, my restaurant, I had an increase in customers since everything opened up and people could actually come to my restaurant. So it's just kind of funny the way that they make it out to more than it is.
Recently, it was announced that regular pioneers will once again have an hour requirement, effective March 1st, 2023. Pioneers are now busy looking at their schedules and planning how they'll be able to meet the hour requirement.
Ooh, I bet they're going to miss that do what you can requirement.
The governing body, though, is realistic about the world situation.
The governing body realistic about world conditions and situations? Nah.
Many branches have reported that pioneers are struggling to meet their hour goal because of the rising cost of living, and many are contending with natural disasters, unrest, and war. In 1999, the governing body considered the situation of the pioneers. The January 1999 Kingdom Ministry said, "We have observed the mounting difficulties faced by pioneers, especially with regard to finding part-time secular work that will allow them to care adequately for their personal needs so as to remain in the full-time service. The present economic situation in many lands has also made it increasingly difficult for others to enter the pioneer work, even though that is their heartfelt desire. During recent months, these and other factors have been carefully considered." Because of those factors, the governing body decided back in 1999 to adjust the hour requirements for the pioneers. Now, 24 years later, as world conditions continue to deteriorate, the governing body sees that our pioneers are facing similar challenges. Therefore, we are very pleased to announce that the governing body has decided to adjust the hour requirements for pioneers effective March 1st, 2023. You may want to get a pen or something to write this down. Are you ready? Here are the new requirements. For regular pioneers, the requirement will now be 600 hours per year. That is an average of 50 hours per month. For auxiliary pioneers, the requirement will now be 30 hours. But notice this. This is very exciting. During March and April, and during the month of the Circuit Overseer's visit, publishers can choose to auxiliary pioneer with a reduced hour requirement of 15 hours. This should make it possible for many more of us to share as auxiliary pioneers during those months of special activity.
Okay, I have a theory for you. So people stopped going in service, basically, door to door for the pandemic. And pioneers are told, you know what, do what you can. You're not going to be able to get your hours the way that you were because you can't go out. So do whatever you're able to. They got used to it. They changed their lives to reflect that. And now they're being told, you got to go back. And you have to get those hours. And there's a lot of unhappy people. So what's happening? You got a potential for a lot of people to drop off the pioneer list. Well, that looks bad for the organization. So what choice do they have but to say, we see your plight. We know how hard it is to make a living, so we'll make them less. The hours are so much less than they were originally back in the day. It was something like 150 hours a month that you'd had to do as a pioneer, decades ago. Now it's going to be 50.
What about special pioneers and missionaries? They will now have an hour requirement of 100 hours per month. Sisters who are serving as special pioneers or missionaries and who are 40 years of age or older have a reduced hour requirement of 90 hours. How should we view these adjustments? This is powerful evidence of the great love and tender concern that Jehovah feels for his people. We want as many as possible to retain their precious privilege of serving as pioneers. And we feel that these adjustments will make it possible for many more to consider taking up the pioneer work.
So here he's saying that this is strong evidence that Jehovah is looking out for his people and caring for them and their circumstances. There's a lot of things going on in this world and nobody's stepping in to help. You can call it what you want, but there's no miraculous rescue from Jehovah God. And really what they're saying here right after that is, we want you to stick it out as pioneers. So it's to serve the congregation. It's to serve the organization is what their real concern is about. They want more people, more hours, and more members so they can get more money and have more power. That's really what it comes down to.
Since the number of people requesting Bible studies is increasing worldwide, there could never be a better time to expand our share in the ministry. If you are serving as a pioneer right now, we hope that you'll continue. If you're not yet serving as a regular pioneer, would it be possible for you to do so? And with the memorial season just ahead, no doubt all elders, ministerial servants, and publishers will prayerfully consider if they can auxiliary pioneer. Can you do so? We look to Jehovah to bless all of these arrangements to his glory and praise. Yes, may we all continue to do our very best to find those who are rightly disposed for everlasting life. We love you all very much. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
Well, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video that was presented here. I know sometimes the subject matter and who it's about doesn't make it quite so enjoyable, but at least the governing body is a little goofy, and there's usually something that you can knock down for what they say, because that's how they roll. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.